With the National Women's League set to get underway in 2017, we believe the Giants are perfectly placed to establish and develop a successful women's team that will continue to drive meaningful community outcomes across Western Sydney and the ACT.
I'm Cam Bernasconi and I'm the AFLW head coach. Started working at the AFL as a talent and coaching manager, and the way that it worked from the AFL was to develop the talent in the Canberra region, and because it was a part of the Giants Academy, I linked in with the Giants since probably like 2014. And then I moved to Sydney in 2020 to coach the Giants Academy and become the head coach. That was when the girls program actually came to come to life. So it was the first ever female Giants Academy, so I coached that. So in the first year, so I did that, and then then here we are now coaching the girls in the AFLW. It came about pretty quickly and out of nowhere, to be honest. Sat down with Jason McCartney and Bree Harvey, and they just kind of threw up the idea of coaching AFLW, and so it was a really challenging experience, but also the best thing that I've ever done as a coach, because it's hard, and it's been a really challenging few years in the role because we've had such a list changeover, but because it was such a tough first 6-7 years for the Giants. I kind of had two KPIs that they were really honest with me. One was make them enjoy it, and just create an identity and a game plan. So it's been challenging having so many new players come in, but so rewarding because I feel like we're building a group that loves coming in, loves working hard.
I'm Katie Page, CEO of Harvey Norman. From day one, this club has been about community, about bringing young ones through at grassroots level, not just at the elite level. And then I contacted Dave Matthews and Tony Shepherd at GWS and said, really, you've got to look at this. You're about community, you're about not just the guys' game, you're about bringing women through as well. And David and Tony embraced it from that moment. And then I went to Gil McLaughlin at the time and said, this is what we're doing, we've got the support of GWS, and by the way, can the girls play at the MCG? Of course, Kate, right? But that was the start of a journey for Harvey Norman with GWS. We're part of Western Sydney. GWS is part of Western Sydney, and it's been now 10 years since we started with the women's team.
Yeah, a lot of players don't grow up playing footy and knowing footy, so therefore football IQ is the biggest work on. So I think it's really crucial at a young age is showing vision and getting the best coaching to coach these players, and that's where the academy is so important. Players love to see what they can be, so it's finding out that if there's a really good inside mid from the Riverina, you say, hey, watch Elise Parker. And then that grows them to watch the Giants, but then watch Elise Parker, and then if they're really good as well, high in talent, we get Parks to connect with them too.
We're a national game, and it was really important for the AFL at the time to make sure that representation was truly national, and to now have all 18 teams represented is just a joy for all of us. I think originally though, the benefit for Western Sydney and New South Wales more broadly was to supercharge the participation of young girls, and we've seen that across Auskick, junior football and even school football. So it's always been important for football to thrive in Sydney.
Johnny just went to a national draft in season 9. So up until then, it's a state-based draft, and therefore you get your local talent coming through, and straight away it's a bigger pool of talent in Victoria. You couldn't just go draft 15, 18-year-olds back then either, because the talent wasn't there, so you had to look at mature age talent and local talent. But being a state-based draft meant that, it probably wasn't an equal playing field. It's a national competition, but you could only really go to your backyard, and it was pretty hard to convince a great mature age player from Victoria to move to Sydney on 10 grand or whatever it was in the first few years. It's going to change quick because your national draftees are going to come in, play immediately, and we're right into that kind of second wave of that. So yeah, and I've said to those girls, they wouldn't mind me sharing this, that I'm not going to wait for them to become important for us. Like, I expect them and coach them to be important now. So I think what it means for us as the Giants is that it'll happen faster than what people think, but also for AFLW fans, it's going to make AFLW so good to watch. Like, I've seen the growth in the last few years, but I think in the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be it already is, but it's going to be really a great entertainment spectacle. So yeah, it's awesome.
So what I say to everyone is nothing happens overnight. So all of this success is coming because of the investment that's been made for the last 10 years, and it will only get stronger and stronger. You've got to remember there are only 2 teams in Sydney. So to have that quality of player coming through, I think is outstanding. But also what I've seen and what has been important to me is that the women are getting the same love, attention, equipment, coaching that the men are. Our next piece, obviously, is that they're playing in front of big crowds, that they're getting primetime broadcast, right? A whole lot of things that other sports have got. It's that they have a profile as well, that the women have a profile. So they deserve that.
It's been hard, there have been challenges, but there's also the glory, the greatness, the fun that boys and men have experienced and enjoyed for decades and decades. So it's something that we do need to reflect on, but we also need to continue to look forward and make sure that we have equal and equitable access and pathways for all sports around the country.
Yeah, I think we're getting there around the one club. We've share the facilities now really well. So it's one of those things that for our success, I think you get the win-loss component, and the men are doing well. I think the girls are on their way to get there. But you just love it to be all Giants fans come to both games, and they lean into the men's when they're playing, and they lean into the girls when they're playing. As a Giants fan, both game plans are really similar, so you're going to see really similar traits, and I look like a Finn Callahan and a Caitlin Sirhoy. They're 2 similar players. Like, Finn's on his rise, and I think Caitlin's on her rise. So yeah, I think success is obviously we'd love to hold the cup up ultimately, but just to have a really strong supporter base, membership growing, and people just support both programs, and we build from there, which is cool.